What if I told you that the D&D world of Greyhawk isn't just a campaign setting, but the very foundation on which Dungeons & Dragons as we now know it stands? Why does this setting created nearly 5 decades ago still matter today? Stick around to uncover the legacy of Greyhawk and why it's making a big comeback. Greyhawk isn't just any campaign settings. It's one of the originals, one of the OGs, one of the first worlds ever created for Dungeons & Dragons by Gary Gygax himself. This world introduced players to the idea of expansive, interconnected settings full of political intrigue, danger, and heroism. From its early days in Gygax's basement to becoming a cornerstone of the D&D universe, Greyhawk set the tone for how we experience fantasy role-playing even today. That's why in this video, we will be exploring the history and lore of Greyhawk, and why it's poised for a revival in the upcoming 2025 Dungeon Master's Guide. Let's start with how it all began. Greyhawk was born in the early 1970s as Gary Gygax's personal campaign world. Originally a simple map and notes from his home games, it became the first official campaign setting for D&D in 1975 with the Supplement 1 Greyhawk. It was designed to expand the original D&D rules, introducing iconic elements like paladins, thieves, and new spells. Over time, it evolved into more or less what we have now, and though the lore is mostly confined to a single portion of one continent, that just means there's more for us to explore. So what makes Greyhawk so special? I mean, there's not even really much written on it. In fact, the world where Greyhawk is actually settled in, Earth, is pretty empty aside from like one part of one continent. So what is this hype? Let's explore some of the highlights and then branch out into the unexplored realms of Earth. The city of Greyhawk, a bustling metropolis, kind of serves as the hub of adventures. It's a place of political intrigue, guild rivalries, and countless opportunities for adventure. The Tomb of Horrors, as previously discussed, perhaps one of the deadliest dungeons ever created, the Tomb of Horrors is synonymous with high-stakes gameplay and player ingenuity, or character death. The Temple of Elemental Evil is a legendary location that became the focus of one of the most famous campaigns in D&D history, showcasing Greyhawk's capacity for grand, interconnected storytelling. And here's the exciting part. Greyhawk is making a resurgence as the primary setting in the new 2025 Dungeon Master's Guide, meaning that all of this uncharted territory is ours to explore. This move brings the classic setting to a new generation of players while giving veterans a chance to revisit the world where it all began. Even though Greyhawk was kind of where everything started, it hasn't always had an easy journey. For years, it was overshadowed by other popular settings like the Forgotten Realms, which became the default for most modern editions of D&D, including 5th edition. Some fans also found Greyhawk's tone, often gritty and political, less accessible than the high fantasy adventures of other worlds. Additionally, like many early RPG settings, Greyhawk has some problematic material that doesn't really align with today's values. While much of this can be adapted or reinterpreted, it's something to be aware of when you're running campaigns in the world. Not only this, but again, the lore is very sparse and focused on a small portion of a single continent. So if a DM wants to set his game in Earth, he basically is limited to Greyhawk the city or its very small surrounding areas. This can be a turnoff to a lot of DMs who want a more fleshed out campaign setting. But to those of us who might have a bit more creative bent, this could be a huge opportunity to carve out our own little section of Earth, what will be the default setting in 2025 and onward with D&D. Even though it's had its challenges, Greyhawk has endured thanks to its loyal fan base and its influence on the broader D&D community. So where does Greyhawk stand today? With its inclusion in the upcoming 2025 Dungeon Master's Guide, Greyhawk is experiencing a revival. Fans will soon be creating homebrew content for the setting, streaming campaigns, and diving back into the unexplored depths of this world of Greyhawk. So this might be a time for those of you who really want to carve out their own section of D&D lore, unexplored and unwritten, to have your way. You may be able to, at this point, take some of these locales that no one has explored, no one knows about, and really write in exactly what you would have for Greyhawk and Earth as a setting. So whether you're a veteran returning to a beloved setting, or a new player discovering it for the first time, Greyhawk and Earth at large remains a cornerstone of the D&D experience. It's not just a setting, it's a piece of D&D history. It laid the groundwork for everything we love about tabletop RPGs, from the epic dungeons to the rich interconnected worlds. As we look to the future with its resurgence in the 2025 Dungeon Master's Guide, it's clear that Greyhawk's legacy is here to stay. If you're enjoying this dive into D&D's history and Greyhawk, make sure you follow my bardic exploits by subscribing to the channel and turning on those notifications so you hear that trumpet every time the bard comes to the stage. All that said, are you ready to explore Greyhawk for yourself? Start with the 2025 DMG and dive into the classic adventures and lore. Have a favorite Greyhawk story or moment? Maybe you don't like Greyhawk, and there's a reason for that too. Share that lore drop in the comments. I'd love to hear from you and how you've brought this legendary world to life in your games. And don't forget to check out my other videos for more tips and insights into D&D's history, stories, and future. Till next time guys, gotta roll.